Hello and welcome, guys. Thank you for joining me again for another Woman to Woman. We're moving right on into our season 3, and season 3 is all about financial education. So let me just take time, first of all, to just thank you guys for a wonderful season 1 and season 2, where I was building relationships with you guys and getting to know you and giving you a little foundation about what it is that I do here on the Woman to Woman broadcast. But now moving into season 3, I think that it is most important that we stop for a moment and really understand what financial education is and why it is important. So my topic here today is why financial education. And when we think about financial education, we get an education from school, and some of us, we graduate and go right on off to college, and we're on these jobs and different things or another. And so money is something that we all have in common. Money is a resource that we all share, yet some of us get ahead financially, and some of us find ourselves just drowning month after month in debt. And so I want to take a look at that, what it looks like, and how getting a good quality financial education can change our financial legacy. Finances is so important, especially in the time in which we're living in. We know the dynamics of our nation and our world today, where the unemployment continues to be on the rise, where we're finding it harder and harder to make the ends meet. Yet, even with all the government assistance that we're given with the extra unemployment employment wages, even with the stimulus checks that we're getting, even with the tax season and we're getting these tax refunds and things like that, there is still so much we don't know financially. There is still so much that we're lacking, because out of all that we receive financially, if we don't have the education financially to back that up, we find ourselves in a month's time, in 2 months' time, in 3 months' time, in 6 months' time, right back to where we were when we first started. And so that's where we want to look at, what are we doing that keeps us always in the deficit? What are we doing that keeps us month after month still lacking and not able to make those ends meet? What are we missing? And one thing that I find that is common amongst so many of us is that we're missing financial education. We just don't have the education. We've been conditioned to going to a job, making a wage, and then spending, consuming all that we can get all the cars, get all the nice clothes, get all the jewelry, get all the nice hairdos, the nails and the spa days, the trips. So we do all of this, yet there are some important things, some important elements that we tend to leave out. And so what are some of those elements? Some of those elements, could it be that we're not tracking what's coming in and what's leaving out? Could it be that instead of tackling our debts and making good on what we already have are responsible for financially, that instead of taking care of that, we accumulate more things on top of that, and that's where we begin to drown ourselves in debt? Could it be that something out of the ordinary, some accident or incident, some traumatic event occurs, or maybe something in the house breaks down, and just when we thought we had a little money to put back for a rainy day, it's gone all of a sudden. So financially, there's so many things that we don't know. And I'm just as guilty as the next one, because I was raised in poverty, born and raised in poverty. We didn't have a lot of money to go around. Finances was not discussed at the dinner table. As a matter of fact, as I think about it, if there was any conversation about finances that was going on, it was always about what somebody needed. Somebody needed to borrow some money. So here we are, we robbed Peter to pay Paul to give to Johnny. And Johnny never returns the money. And we never pay Peter back. Paul never, it's just an ongoing cycle. And so it's no different than where I was here, even in the last 2 or 3 years, when I started to really look at what does finances look like. Because what I found myself doing is going to work every day on a job that paid me fairly well, fairly decent wage for the place that demographic, the location that I live in. So it paid me pretty much a decent salary, had good benefits, but I could not understand why I was not getting ahead. Why do I still have mountains of debt looking me in the face? Why is it that when I get paid on the 25th of the month, why is it that by the 10th of the next month, I'm scraping pennies trying to put gas in the car to commute to work? And this was my reality year after year, month after month, and I could not understand, why am I in this predicament? Here I am, educated, steady in my profession. I don't think that I'm high maintenance, but there were some things that I really had to look at. And so this brings us back to the topic, why financial education? And I can answer that for you, because if we don't have a financial education, we're going to find ourselves still continuing to do the same things financially, expecting different outcomes, only to find out that we have done ourselves a disservice. Investing in a financial education, it doesn't have to be expensive, but it is necessary. You have to start somewhere, whether it's reading a book, whether it's listening to a podcast, where it's getting together with family and friends and discussing what we can do, what we've learned, and bring it back to the table and let's talk about it. There's something you have to do differently financially if you want a better financial outcome. Why financial education? Because we want to break the cycles of poverty. Why financial education? Because we want to establish a legacy, a financial legacy for our family. Why financial education? Because what we've done up until this point does not work. Why financial education? Because if we're going to get ahead in this thing, if we want our kids to really have what we didn't have, it starts with getting a good quality financial education. And so it starts somewhere. So I'm going to dedicate this whole season 3 into talking about finances, because it is so important. Now, I'm looking back and thinking back when I was raising my girls, and I thought if I could give them nice clothes, that was so much better. That was something that I could do to set them off on a good path. If I could give them a loving home, a stable home, I thought that that's something that would benefit them in the long run. I thought that if I can just shower them with love and they know that they love and spend quality time with them, that would be enough. But now as they're grown and they're experiencing life in adulthood, early adulthood, and off to college and working on their jobs. I see some of my mistakes financially. I see that in them. I see them working on the jobs, working long hours, getting a wage, and then having to ration out where this money is going. And the money runs out and you still have bills at the end of it. I see the mountains of debt from student loans. I see going to the loan companies or the payday loan companies and borrowing a quick dollar to take care of this, and then having to go in debt month after month to try to pay that back. And it seems like we never get it paid off because the interest rates on those are so high. I see them now at the point in their life not really understanding how important that their credit score is and how important it is to establish a good credit history. So I see all of this. So it's important to me that if I want better for my children, and if I'm going to desire better for myself as I approach age, the decades of retirement and different things like this that come along as we age, if I want to do better financially, I have to get a financial education. There's no doubt about it. Because without that financial education, if I go and make more money, what do you think is going to happen to that money without that knowledge, without that education, without knowing what to do with that money? Making more money just means that I'm going out to spend more money to get more things. That profit means nothing. And guys, I know you see it because during the tax season, it tells all. During the tax season, you hear people talking this big talk about, they got a refund and they go get the next best car and they go get their hair and nails done. They're stopping at the spa. They're taking a trip to the beach. We all look rich. We all look like we got it together during tax season. But think about it. It's just a season. There's 4 seasons in the year. What are we going to do for the other 3 seasons? What about the bills that come in the other 3 seasons? What about the rainy day funds in the other 3 seasons? What about mama gets sick and now we have to add her into our household during the other 3 seasons? What about the baby is need diapers for the other 3 seasons? Have we really planned for that? And I can answer that because if we don't have a good financial foundation, a good financial education, we don't. Because we can't see past the right now. And so if we get money in, the more we get in, the more we're going to spend. And it's not spending on taking care of the responsibilities that we already have. It's not being placed in areas as a financial defense, so to speak, areas to where we have a little cushion or a little wiggle room or a little security. And I can tell you guys, 2021, it's more unpredictable financially than any other time that I can think of. Now, I've been through some rough times financially. I talk about in my book, Recreating a Better Me, I talk about being a young mother and at the loss of my job, not even having enough money to go to the store to get bread so that me and my kids could eat. And I'd go to a relative's house and borrow $10 just to last us to the end of the week or until some more money can come in. And so I know what it's like financially. But you know what? There were some things that I didn't even have to worry about. I didn't have to worry about losing our house. The house was mine. I wasn't renting. The house was ours. I didn't have to worry about losing my job and not having money to pay the rent and being put out on the street with my 2 young girls. I didn't have to worry about them coming to repossess my car. The cars were paid for. But yet, there's always something. There's always a situation. There's always going to be some circumstances that's going to require your money. Everything is after your money. From the fads and fashion, from the entertainment to food, family, whatever. When you think about it, everything surrounding you is designed, is created, and it is after your money. Yes, even church, even those religious or those social groups that we want to stay connected to, it costs money. And so this is why having a financial education is so important. This is why investing in a financial education is going to be important, not only for you sitting here listening, but also for everything that's connected to you. Because I can guarantee you, when you make the change, when you get the education, when you make the shift, everything else around you, everything else that's connected to you, it has to change too. And so it's not about beating somebody over the head, but hey, we share everything else. If Sister Lou was down the road getting her house repossessed or getting her head beat in or had a stroke and had to go to the hospital, we'd be telling that. So why not share the good news about the financial education and the financial foundations that we begin to establish for ourselves? How awesome is that, to have a conversation about finances with your kids or with your spouse or with your mom or with the sisterhood that helps shift the whole dynamics of everybody's household? Having those conversations that shift the whole foundation of the church. Some of the brokest, poorest people I know is in the church, but they look good, they smell good, they sound good, but financially they're drained. They have nothing more to give. Do you realize how much power we have as women to shift the whole dynamics, not only within our households, but our communities, our state, and our world? So why financial education? Because it is the key to breaking the cycle of the financial crisis that we all face. And let me tell you right now, it has nothing to do with the amount of money you have. It's about knowing what to do with that you have. And so we're going to talk about it this season on Woman to Woman. We want to talk about it. So why financial education? Because it is divinely connected to you getting to your next level financially. And I'm not talking about going out here and trying to find another job and all of this. I'm not talking about you have to go out here wearing rags and looking old sad, woe is me. I'm not sitting here talking about you have to be so stingy and tight that you can't give $1 or $2 here or there to help somebody else along the way. That's not what I'm talking about. Financial education will help you understand how to stay above ground financially, even when we're in financial crises, even when the whole world around us begins to fall apart. It's all about the knowledge that we have and being able to apply that knowledge in the areas that work best for us. Now, I know that each of our situations are different. There is no one size fit all formula, but the basic foundation of being educated and applying those things in the area which works best for us, getting some discipline when it comes to finance, being focused and being intentional will change everything. So I encourage you, stick with me here for season 3, because we're going to dedicate it to being educated financially, because more than anything else going on in the world right now, we need to know which move to make next. We need to know about finances. So I appreciate you joining me here for this edition of Woman to Woman. Until next time, I am your host, Anntricia Bray Smith, your professional mentor and speaker.